Hi everybody, this is SAAD. This is my second clip of the day because again, the lunacy never sleeps, and so I always feel compelled to comment on the latest attack on the edifice of reason. So this comes from an article that someone shared and tagged me on Twitter. It's an article that's published in Cosmopolitan, whereby a grossly overweight woman decides to stand somewhere in the middle of New York City wearing a bikini to sort of get a sense of the types of comments that are going to be thrown at her, thinking that people are going to throw comments that she is, overweight and fat and so on. But then she was shocked to find out other comments that were as hurtful, if not more so. I'll get to that in a second. Before I do that, let me remind you of the collective malady that I have coined, Collective Munchausen, which is the malady of trying to do whatever you can to twist reality so that you come out as though you're a victim. So any reality in life must be measured against the optimizing currency of you ending up being a victim. And the one who ends up being the biggest victim is the one who wins in the game of life. That's Collective Munchausen. So I've discussed the desire of folks to, no matter what outcome happens, to double down on the victimology narrative. So, for example, there was a woman who at a Canadian university decided to don the hijab to show that, Canadians are rabid Islamophobes. But then she found out to her surprise that Canadians were incredibly kind, respectful, and polite to her when she was wearing the hijab. Aha! That demonstrated that they were hiding their latent hatred. So people acting nicely was also proof of them being, quote, Islamophobic. Or I gave you the example in a previous SAAD TRUTH clip where when a doctoral student at Hebrew University conducted a research of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, to hopefully document endemic rape of Palestinian women, and then she found not a single case of rape in the IDF. Aha, this demonstrates how racist and disgusting those evil Jews are, because they so dehumanize the Palestinian women that they're not even worthy of being raped. This is not satire. I'm not satirizing now. These are real people taking real positions in real universities. Well, so now we come to this fat acceptance or fat Munchausen syndrome. So I'm going to read for you something from one of my books, my 2011 The Consuming Instinct book. This is from page 226. So let me just read you the whole thing, the whole passage. Nevertheless, I watched a documentary not too long ago on, quote, fat acceptance, in which a woman who was morbidly obese, probably over 400 pounds, was proclaiming that it was discriminatory of men to reject her at the numerous dating events that she attended. Apparently, she felt that the men had been, quote, socialized into preferring a, quote, thin ideal, and as a rule, they were incapable of seeing her inner beauty. Yeah, that's it. In a moment of defiance, she reiterated that she had the right to be loved. Such pro-fat self-affirmation epitomizes the central message of the next book on the list. This is the list of self-help BS books that I was covering. Fat, so, because you don't have to apologize for your size, as well as organizations such as the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. Incredibly, now pay attention, some overweight women take exception to men who are so-called fat admirers, as they find it offensive that such men appreciate them strictly because of their large size. If a man is not attracted to an overweight woman, he is discriminatorily shallow. If he is particularly fond of overweight women, he is objectifying their fat. In the famous words of the Scottish poet Sir Walter Scott, quote, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive," close quote. Lest I be accused of weightism, the reader should know that I have struggled with my weight for the past 2 decades, at times being more than 50 pounds overweight, although I've lost quite a bit of it since. So now we come to the article that was published on July 3rd, 2018 in Cosmopolitan. And so let me try to go through much of it. I'll try to read probably all of it. I posed in a bikini in Times Square. I was expecting comments from haters, but what I actually heard was way more disheartening. I probably won't read the whole thing, but let me just kind of get through it. Standing in the middle of Times Square, it wasn't super hot, but the pressure of what I was about to do was making me sweat. My fingers slipped against the fabric of my maxi skirt as I fumbled with the tightly knotted bow. My outfit fell away, revealing my pink bikini beneath it. By the way, I highly recommend you go and check out the link to the article, which I'll post in the description section so that you can get a good sense of the woman who is carrying out this stunt. I heard hollers from strangers, but their words blurred into an indecipherable mess as I tried unsuccessfully to remain calm. A sliver of sun peeked out from behind the skyscrapers, reminding me we were about to lose the light. No more time for nerves. It was now or never. "Let's do this," I said out loud. My clothes dropped all the way to the ground, and the voices around me became clear. Quote, "I want to suck on them tasty toes," close quote. "Hey, baby, let me butter them biscuits for you." I looked up to see 3 men with camera phones filming me. Our eyes met, and one uttered, "Twerk for the camera, baby. Show me how that ass clap." Tears began to well up. I was prepared to be pointed at, shamed, and called fat. I didn't expect to be fetishized. Remember, I prophesied this in 2011. So let's step back a second. Here's a woman who, in the middle of, I think it's Times Square's, decides to take off her clothes, be in a bikini, and again, you need to see the image of this woman, and she's expecting that people are going to respond negatively in a derogatory manner to the visual stimulus that she is presenting. Instead, a bunch of men start catcalling her. And that even hurt her more because they weren't hating her for being overweight. They were fantasizing about her for being overweight. Because usually, if you stand in the middle of a street wearing a bikini, that usually in mixed company means I am now open for business to discuss quantum theory. When you usually stand in the middle of the street pretty much naked, what you want people to judge you on is your capacity to solve differential equations. I mean, for me, whenever I want to have a good conversation with someone, I just step on the street, wear a European Speedo, stand there, and hope that someone will talk to me about the history of the papacy. That's usually what a sane person would think. When RTL, a German news channel, reached out to me to film a documentary-style shoot about life after a Las Vegas photo shoot that went viral, I was the one who suggested Times Square. I could have picked a park, a hotel, a pool, literally anywhere else in the city. I chose this. Before, I'd shot in hotels or on beach boardwalks, but I'd never snapped photos with so much attention on me. The world only really sees plus imagery that is perfected and somewhat vanilla, usually that of a smaller, perfectly proportioned, curvy woman. It didn't need another stock image of an hourglass figure in an indiscernible space wearing a one-piece. I wanted to make a statement, and I wanted to be seen. I am more than my body, and I deserve respect and human decency. Right. And wearing a bikini while standing in an incredibly public area with whatever body you have is exactly the way that you don't want people to judge you based on your body. 50 feet to my right in the busy tourist-filled spaces were 2 thin, large-busted women wearing only G-strings and some body paint. I watched them with envy. Nobody yelled at them as they worked to hustle up dollars, selling photos with eager tourists. They were just another part of New York. My mind jolted back to my reality as a man reached forward to hand me his mixed CD. As I pushed it away, he tried to grab hold of my wrist to talk to me. I yanked my hand back. "Hard pass," I screamed with the toughest face I could muster. "No, thank you. Please leave me alone." He stepped back into the crowd that was slowly forming, and his friend then began to call out to me, "I'm just showing love for a BBW, baby." I don't know what BBW means. "I want you to know that men want you. We love them big booty queens like you. Show off for your fans, baby." My tears turned to anger, and the words began to fly out of my mouth. "It doesn't make it okay. You're disgusting. Please stop. Please just stop." The man justified his response by saying that plus women don't know they're effable. Let me be very clear, as I stated in the caption for the photo I later posted to Instagram, a plus-size woman's worth, or any one woman's worth for that matter, is not contingent on someone wanting to have sex with them. You don't exist to pleasure someone. You exist to change the world. I can't read the rest of this. You get the general idea. So let's kind of come to some conclusions. If you say, I have the right to have certain mating preferences, and my mating preference is not to be sexually attracted to a 500-pound woman, that's grotesque. That's fattest. That's differential weightedism. And it's because, the patriarchy taught me to prefer women that look like Beyonce more than 500 pounds women. If on the other hand I say, I'm uniquely attracted, I'm sexually attracted to grotesquely obese women, then that's also a form of fatism, because I am objectifying, I'm fetishizing their fat folds. That's not right. If I ignored the fat woman, then I would be engaging in the silent invisibility of that woman. I'm erasing her. If I say hello to her, it would be saying hello to her because of her fat silhouette. There is no outcome whereby you are not an oppressor, where she's not a victim. If you don't like her because she's overweight sexually, you're a bad person. If you like her because she's overweight sexually, you're a bad person. You can't win. If you go out into the street and the truck hits you, it was destiny. If you go out into the street and the truck doesn't hit you, it was destiny. How do you falsify destiny? You can't. That's why destiny doesn't fall within the purview of a scientific framework. Same thing with Collective Munchausen. It's outside of natural laws. It is anti-natural, because all roads lead to you being a Nazi, racist, rapist, pig. So there you have it, folks. The more we tolerate this nonsense, the more we tolerate victimology, the more we acquiesce to what truly amounts a form of hostage taking via temper tantrums that typically would be viewed as gauche if a 4-year-old did them. But now we allow millions of people, adults, to engage in this type of corrosive strategy because we don't want to be accused of being racist, Islamophobic, homophobic, Nazi, fattest. Put an end to it. Fight against it. There is no need. There shouldn't be any bigotry against anyone, but we shouldn't also be held hostage to this nonsense. I hope you're having a good day. Spread the word. Cheers.